This game was originally going to be Resident Evil 3 before it got switched to the main title. Also the first game that were released to the PlayStation 2 in the Resident Evil franchise. And it came out on February 3rd of 2000 with mediocre reviews from people like IGN. But the fans genuinely enjoyed this game. Unlike the other games that came out, like Resident Evil 1 through 3 and 4, this one didn't get a remake. Well, mainly at the time of recording this, but there were fan remakes that were being made, but Capcom ended up just canning those and canceling those because they seemed too legit, and Capcom didn't like people doing their job better than them. But this was certainly one of the more forgettable entries of the series. But that doesn't make it a bad game in any way, but just nothing too groundbreaking or original in terms of just gameplay, characters, or just story for that matter. And it's similar to Resident Evil 3, the game that came before, and many others. This game follows a singular linear plot with only a single campaign you can choose from. But throughout this campaign, there are 3 characters that you can choose from. But the events here take place right after Resident Evil 2 and the Raccoon City incident. There's Chris and Claire Redfield, which is one of the only times they're together in basically any piece of Resident Evil media, and Steve, who only makes an appearance in this game, but he ended up dying thanks to just dickheads of antagonists. But I liked his character for as little as we saw of him. The story starts out with Claire finding herself locked up in the prison. She meets with Steve and stuff happens, but the antagonists of this story are a brother and sister named Alfred and Alexa Ashford. But I'm going to be completely honest here when I say this story probably sucked, or I just didn't care at this point in time. I was not interested and didn't pay attention. But either way, the set pieces and locations in this game were really, really fun to go through. And you're going to have to get used to them because you're going to do that a lot. Because I'm talking about some of these puzzles, especially finding the 2 golden Luger pistols. And that was a nightmare to get through. But the prison location and just that general area around it was probably my favorite within the series. Don't exactly know as to why, but just the simple yet effective style really resonates well with me, and I enjoy that the most. And there was this little detector system puzzle that I enjoyed. It wasn't too flashy, but it was a nice little stop, and I really liked that part. As I mentioned many times in this video already, much like the other Resident Evil games that come before this game also has tank controls and a fixed camera motion, but to be honest, there's a joystick, which makes this a whole lot worse, but also better. But the D-pad is still available, which I've used in order to get through. The Joy-Con could just get confusing, because there's just a way that you turn, and it doesn't, if you move backwards, it doesn't really move backwards. It just makes sense when you play it. But speaking of confusing, the puzzles and backtracking in this game are absurd of another level. As I mentioned previously, the Golden Luger section, I traveled to 4 different sections of this map and had zero idea where I was supposed to go. And I had to travel to this bathhouse, which was on another part of the map I didn't even know existed, because it was in this small little hallway they had to go through. Turn off the hose and get a go back to the Navy ship and all this, which is literally just sitting in front of the airport, which maybe I'm just dumb. I tried getting that steering wheel on the mount in order to raise this ship, and that was just not working. And I traveled all the way back to the beginning area after 7 hours of gameplay just to use this one eagle plate, and that was never clarified. I had to search up a guide for that, which is embarrassing, I'll admit. I had no idea, other than just the confusing puzzles. The gameplay itself is fun, I'll say. There's a dual wielding system, quote unquote, but it's more just 2 dual wielding guns you can use, which basically just turn the game into easy mode. The characters automatically lock on to whatever enemies are in the room and just spray down those fools like they're paper mache. There's a dual M100P, which is a pistols, and a dual Uzis are the ones that come to mind mainly. They have so much ammo, it's kind of ridiculous, and feeds back into this is unbelievably easy part. Dual pistols never have any ammo, at least whenever I played. It had the one clip, which is really big, but then it's gone. And other than that, there's ammo for my other weapons is plentiful. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's a bug, but that's what I noticed. There was a lot of arrows for my bow, and then there was a lot of spare handgun ammo. There was at least 100 of each, so the survival aspect wasn't really a worry for me. At the end of the day, when everything is said and done, Code Veronica was nothing more than just a spin-off. It wasn't a cash grab at all, but it wasn't trying to break any new grounds. It was just, having fun for what it is. Personally, I will give this game an 8 out of 10 because I really enjoyed the gameplay. I had fun, but it wasn't anything amazing or outstanding that I'll live to tell my children about. But I enjoyed this game a whole lot more than I intended because it never got a remake and I rarely ever heard of it, maybe once or twice, but I imagine this game wasn't really that good. I'll admit playing this, it's one of my top 5 games in this series, and Resident Evil 4 is definitely on there, so don't miss that one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a good day.